Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Casey. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. So I'm really excited to be doing this. So let's just get started. The first question is, best book you've read so far in 2017? This one was hard because I feel like I haven't read any amazing books. Just really, new fandoms I'm going to get into. So the best book I think I've read so far is The Pearl by John Steinbeck, which is an odd choice, especially if you've read it, because it's kind of depressing. Like, it's not a happy book, but I really liked it, and I think it's the best book because I think it's going to be the book that I've read this year that's going to stay with me the longest. It's not some, fluffy contemporary romance book. I think it's gonna stick with me a long time. His other book, I mean, he's had more than this other book, but the other book I've read of his is Of Mice and Men, and I love that book. It's probably my favorite book. So I think it's not as good as that one, but I think it's gonna be one I think about a lot. Like, I think about Of Mice and Men a lot. The second question is, best sequel you've read so far in 2017. This one I don't have the actual copy for. It is called The Other Side of Dawn by John Marsden. This is the last book in a 7-book, what's the word for this? It's not sequel.
A 7-book
Series, a 7-book series by John Marsden about the series is called the Tomorrow series. It's the first book is Tomorrow When the War Began. It's about I can't tell you what the 7th book is about, so I'll tell you what the first book's about. It's about these teens who go backpacking in Australia. They're from Australia, so they go backpacking over a weekend, over kind of like a July 4th. And when they come out of where they were camping, they find that their country and their town has been taken over by these nameless enemies, like this other country. And so the whole series of the books is about them kind of guerrilla fighting, and they lose people, main characters die, and you get new characters. The series is so good. I've been reading this series probably since I was 14 or 15, and I finally finished it this year. It's about war, so obviously they're very heavy books, and even though they're YA, they're very heavy. So I could never read more than 1 or 2 at a time before they get too daunting. So I finally finished it this year. The 7th one, again, The Other Side of Dawn. It was good. It ended in a way that was so real that it was almost unsatisfying. So if you've ever read them, comment down below so we can talk about it, because I've never met anyone who has read the whole series. I need someone else to read the whole series so we can talk about the ending. Is that too much to ask? Okay, question 3 is new release you haven't read yet but want to. I'm not really big on new releases. I don't really stay up to date unless it's one of my favorite authors. Normally I just go into a bookstore and see what looks good. But I did get an advertisement just earlier this week from Goodreads for a book called When It's Real by Aaron Watts. And it sounded really good. I almost picked it up, but I'm kind of on a no-buy situation happening. But it sounds like it's about this 17-year-old girl who is paid... Is she 17? I might have just made that up. But a young girl who's paid to be the girlfriend of this pop star who kind of has a bad reputation. It just sounded kind of fun, kind of not too deep, just an easy read, which I really like books like that can kind of take me away from my life. So I'm excited for that one. Number 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Again, I don't really stay up on new releases. The one thing I am really excited about, and I get excited every Christmas, is for terrible Christmas books to come out. These are the ones that you can get at Walmart or Target. Debbie Maycumber always has one. This is one I got last year. I never read it. It's called Angel Lane by Sheila Roberts. Never read it. I'm probably going to read it this Christmas. I love these books. They are the Hallmark movies of books. They're all the same, and they're all very, very good. So that's what I'm most excited about. Number 5, biggest disappointment. I don't have this book because I decluttered it. It is called You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness by Jen Sincero. It's a kind of like a self-help book about like how to get over everything, and her whole point was just positive think. Like, one example she uses is how she bought like a really expensive car, like a Lexus or something, without having a way to pay for it, but she knew that she would find a way to pay for it, so she bought it. What? No, that's being fiscally irresponsible. Don't do that in real life. That's a terrible idea. So I hated that book. I'm pretty sure I didn't pay for it. I'm pretty sure I rented it from the library. I borrowed it from the library, the ebook. If I paid for it, I'm pretty sure I didn't pay for it. Because if I did, I'm going to be mad. But anyway, it was a terrible book. I hated it. And I like self-help books like that. So it was bad. Number 6, biggest surprise. My biggest surprise that I liked was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I had never read a Jane Austen. I don't like to read kind of like the old English style of writing, because I'm a very slow, again, I feel like I say this in every video, I'm a very slow reader. So I'm a very slow reader in modern English, so when you put in old English, I'm really bad at it. So this one I listened to the audiobook while reading along, and it was very enjoyable. I really liked this book. I really felt that so much of what was happening in this book you could apply to today's times, even the way sometimes that they spoke seemed very modern. I enjoyed it so much so that afterwards I read a retelling of it called Eligible, and loved that one. And then I watched the BBC series with Colin Firth, so that was enjoyable. But yeah, I really like this. I'm not going to read any of her other stuff, but I like this a lot. Number 7, favorite new author. This new to you, not debut author. This one was hard too. The only author I could come up with that I really did like was Elle Kennedy. And she writes new adult, which is basically trashy romances for people in college. I read 2 of her books this year. I read them on ebook. They're about this college hockey team, and they're complete trashy romances, but they're good. And again, there's a place for those in my reading and in reading. So I really liked hers. There's 4 in that series that I definitely want to finish. I have plans to finish them this year. And then I want to kind of read other stuff by her, and then maybe other stuff in that similar genre. I really liked it. Number 8, newest fictional crush. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Mr. Darcy. I don't really have fictional crushes. Maybe Colin Firth from Pride and Prejudice. I don't really know about that one. 9, newest favorite character. This one was hard too. All I could come up with is Percy Jackson. I did like him. I'm going to continue that series. I don't know. I don't want to keep using Pride and Prejudice, but maybe Elizabeth Bennet. I don't know. I feel like I haven't read any books that have just like characters that stick with you. Like, I know, I hate to say it, but, Harry Potter. Like, those characters are so good. I feel like I haven't really read kind of a book like that yet. A book that made you cry. I listened to the audiobook of When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Calanti. And this is a nonfiction memoir about, he was a doctor who found out he had cancer. And so it's about that. And that book, I listened to it at work and I started tearing up. Specifically at this one part where he is like talking to his daughter that he has it's okay. It's an audiobook, so obviously he was writing it, but it's about his daughter. And then right after that happens, his wife comes on and he has died. That's not a spoiler. Everyone, I mean, if you don't know going into this that he died, then that's quite a shock to you. But that was so emotional, just hearing him talk to his daughter. I really like that. That was a good book. I like that a lot. It's a lot about like life and kind of getting the most of life. Um, 11. What book made you happy? I would say Why Not Me by, I've said that really weird. Why Not Me by Mindy Kaling. This is again a memoir about, I guess, her life kind of as the creator of the Mindy Project. It was really good. She is American Indian, from India, not Native American, and it's kind of about her being empowered as a minority, as a woman, and getting things done and being a boss. So I really enjoyed it. It's funny. I listened again to the audiobook, and she was the narrator of it. So it was really good. Just anything kind of that she does makes me happy. I really like that. Number 12, most beautiful book you bought so far this year. I'm gonna mention two. First, I really like this cover of Pride and Prejudice. I don't know. It's really cute. It's kind of, I don't know. I just really like that. I had like an ugly cover, and I saw this at Books A Million, and I had to get it. And then the other book I got was Oh Pioneers. And again, I just think this cover is so beautiful. It takes place in Nebraska, and this is, like quintessential Nebraska. So I really like both of those books. Their covers. Well, and I like both of those books. But number 13, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I have 3 of these that I need to read by the end of the year. I'll start out with kind of the lightest one. A Man Called Ove. There's not a question mark. I just don't know how to pronounce it. Ovi, I don't know. By Frederick Backman. I've been dying to read this book, but I want to actually read it. I don't want to listen to the audiobook of it. So I just need to kind of get through some of my other books that I'm reading. But I definitely want to. I need to not look at the author pictures because I'm shocked. This guy, I don't know if you can see. That's not what I pictured him to look like. But anyway, this book takes place in Sweden. I'm Swedish, so I feel like a kinship. I really want to read this book. The second book I really want to read, because I live in America, is 1984 by George Orwell. I just want to read this book to see how it applies to today. I've heard that in today's political society or environment that you can still apply it to today. And so I really want to read this book to do that. And the last book is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. There's a funny story about this. I'm not going to get into detail about it because I think I'll probably do a video about it after I read it all by itself. I really want to read this book this year, and I'm committed to doing it. I'm going to read this book in 2017. I think it'll be a combination of audiobook and actual reading. I have the audiobook. I need to listen to get past the first 150 pages or so. But I'm going to read it, guys. This year, I'm going to read Lonesome Dove. And then the last question is favorite book community member. I'm just gonna do the people I kind of watch. I really like Books with Emily Fox. I love her. And then Books and Lala. I watch some other people, but those are my 2 favorite. Books and Lala has the most amazing graphics and everything. I just love her videos. I don't have anyone specific to tag, but so if you want to do it, go ahead and do it, and then let me know below, and I'll go watch your videos. I think it'll be so fun. Okay, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, tell me, have you read any of the books I talked about? What do you think?